Hello, welcome. My name is Abdi Goulet. In this video, I would like to talk to you about my research proposal. It's called Teaching Imitation Skills to Autistic Students Using Virtual Reality. Before we dive into the proposal, I would like to give you an introduction about what is autism spectrum disorder and what is virtual reality. Um, Autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects the communication and social skills of individuals. It also causes restrictive and repetitive behaviors. And in some cases, children with severe ASD might have limited use of physical mobility. They may have difficulty using their hands to point at things, nodding their heads. Um, and these are some of the symptoms that children with ASD might develop. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, the symptoms of autism generally appear in the first years of the child's developmental life. And these symptoms, they hinder the ability for the children to develop necessary communication and social skills. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in 59 children in the United States has some form of ASD. This shows the need for sustainable solution for children with ASD. And many educators and professionals have tried over the years to use different assistive technologies such as virtual reality to improve the communication skills of children with ASD. Virtual reality is a three-dimensional computer-generated simulation that provides an immersive learning experience to the learner, and it allows the learner to interact with that virtual environment in a seemingly real and physical way using electronic equipment such as headsets. As we mentioned earlier, the major problem for the children with ASD is communication issues. And in this study, we are looking at how we can improve the imitation skills of children with ASD. And the reason we are focusing on the imitation is because imitation is a critical communication skill. And research shows that children with ASD exhibit severe imitation deficits. And when children have this imitation deficit, that impedes the child's ability to develop the necessary communication and social skills. So the question is, how can we improve? How can we improve the communication skills in general by focusing on the imitation skills of the children with ASD? The short answer could be assistive technology might provide some potential solution to this problem. Different researchers have indicated that virtual reality offers unique features that might improve the learning abilities of children under the autism spectrum disorder. Naranjo and others conducted a study in 2017 to examine the effectiveness of the 3D virtual environment to teach children with ASD. And the results have shown that the VR environment adds significant value to the teaching and learning process of children with ASD. So the purpose for this study is to explore the extent to which virtual reality can improve the imitation skills of children with ASD. And this study will be conducted in partnership with Florio, a company that uses virtual reality to improve the learning abilities of individuals with ASD, and Celebrate the Children, a school that teaches students with autism spectrum disorder. a quasi-experimental design will be conducted. The target audience for this study will be autistic students in grades 3 and to 4, and the students will be divided into two groups: experimental group and control group. The data collected from both groups will be analyzed, interpreted, and compared. A literature review will be conducted during this study to understand the breadth of existing literature about this topic. And several online databases will be utilized to collect peer-reviewed articles, conference papers, and ebooks about this topic. And some of these online databases include Google Scholar, ERIC online library, EBSCO online libraries. An initial literature review was conducted during the development of this research proposal, and three major themes emerged from this initial literature review. The first one is understanding the characteristics of the students with autism spectrum disorder. And according to the American Psychiatric Association, the characteristics of individuals with ASD can be summarized into three major disabilities. Number one, they have a communication impairment, which is the focus for this study. And number two, they have challenges in social interaction skills. And lastly, they exhibit repetitive and restrictive behaviors. The second theme that emerged from this initial literature review is the challenges of teaching autistic students. Because of their learning disabilities, autistic students present unique challenges to teachers. And these challenges include communication deficits, lack of social skills, in some cases, cognitive processing delays for the children with ASD. And in other cases, you may see children with severe ASD have some physical or motor skill challenges. And lastly, the third theme was the benefits of using virtual reality to teach autistic students. And there are three main benefits that virtual reality offers when we teach autistic students. Number one, it provides immersive and repeatable experience that is fun and engaging to the learner. Number two, it empowers the learners by reducing their fear. It improves their confidence, and it helps them to process the learning as they go, according to a different researchers in 2015. And lastly, virtual reality allows teachers, parents to supervise the experience and guide the progress of the child in a fun and engaging way. Critical disability theory will be used as a framework for this study. And the purpose is to understand the best way that virtual reality might help students with ASD to improve their communication skills instead of focusing on their biological disabilities. The research questions that we will be dealing with during this study are: how do autistic students interact with virtual reality? Does virtual reality improve their attention during the lesson? How do autistic students imitate the actions and words used by the character? Does virtual reality increase the number of imitation times of autistic students? The null hypothesis for this study is that there is no significant difference between the means of imitation times of the control and experimental groups. The alternative hypothesis, however, is that there is a statistically significant difference between the means of the imitation times of the control and experimental group. The method that we will be using is that quasi-experimental design will be applied. The purpose is to measure the impact of VR on the imitation skills of autistic students. A total of 60 students will be participating in this study, and the students will be divided into two groups, experimental group, which will be 30 students, and control group, which will be also another 30 students. Data collection procedures and a structured observation technique will be used to measure the imitation times of the subjects. The purpose is to generate numeric data from the observation, and during the study, the researcher will collect will collect the data using observation sheets, and the teacher will facilitate the learning process. An observation sheet will be developed so that we will collect a first-hand data during the study. For the experimental group, the researcher will record the number of times that students imitate the child avatar during the study. For the control group, the researcher similarly will record the imitation times of the students and how many times they imitate the instructor without using the virtual reality. The data collected from both groups will be analyzed, interpreted, and compared to determine whether there is a statistically significant difference between the means of the two groups. And this is the end for this presentation. Thank you for your attention and have a wonderful day.